Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Good morning, Nick. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. It's great to be here. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you, and I'm glad to see you. For the people that are watching us, Tom is based in Canada. He's a GP for the majority of the week, and he's a coach as well. So personally, we can share something personal or more private. We love to have very profound conversations about coaching, and we keep saying we improve each other's professionalism, going through very deep and tough questions. And so, Tom, get ready because we're going to have some questions today. So I leave the introduction about you personally and professionally. Just introduce yourself to the audience. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks for having me, Nick. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat. So a little bit about me. I'm English. I live in Canada. I live in British Columbia. I moved here in 2020, which is a really challenging time to move across the world. And as you said, I'm a GP. I used to work in the UK in the NHS, and I'm still a GP. And over the past probably about 3 years, I have been working as a coach as well, which has given me another, how would I describe it, way of working with people in a really deep and meaningful way. Meaningful for me, hopefully meaningful for them as well, I hope. And I work with individuals, and I also work with teams in healthcare. And that's been a really fascinating perspective, and especially looking at the kind of broader system that we're all a part of and connected to. So I love the coaching. I love my work as a GP. And the final thing I'll say is that I'm also finishing a master's degree in positive psychology and coaching psychology. And that's been a really amazing thing as well. So I'll leave it at that.
That's great. Thank you, Tom. So today, I appreciate your contribution in relation to emotional intelligence. These interviews' objective aim is to bring sensibility to the topic. So I appreciate your contribution. I reiterate from a technical point of view as well. Something I really wanted to ask, the first question. You oftentimes meet patients with physical pain. So to what degree do you think there is a correlation between physical pain and emotional dysregulation?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot to unpack. And I think that they almost always go hand in hand. There's always a connection. Whether the emotional pain comes first in some cases, or the physical pain comes first and then the emotional pain afterwards. I think as a physician, as a human being, it's really important to understand that there is a connection. So for instance, if someone experiences, say, something really traumatic in their lives, they break their leg in a really bad way, and they've got this life-changing injury, after their bones heal, that's not the end of the story. Quite often I find that it has an impact on their emotional well-being, trauma, and then years down the line it's impacted them in some way. It's changed how they feel about themselves. It's changed their worldview. It's changed what they believe that they're capable of. And I think that broader awareness between the connection between the physical injury and the emotional impact is a really, really important one. So self-awareness comes up. And also a big one is compassion, you know, recognizing, we were just talking a little bit about radical acceptance, radical acceptance of what is in front of you, what you're experiencing, what's playing out, and then having compassion for what you're doing, what you're able to do, and how you're showing up. And then sometimes people will have chronic pain, meaning long-term pain that lasts for years. And as physicians, we might investigate, we might do blood tests and scans, and we don't find an explanation in that sense for their pain. But a really big part of it as a physician is validating that person's experience and understanding that what they're saying is their reality, that they're experiencing chronic pain. And so to your question about, you know, the link between those two, sometimes because of emotional dysregulation as well, and I'm certainly not suggesting this is the only reason, but it's a part of that when we are emotionally dysregulated, we know that we can experience things like pain, and it can also make pain a lot worse. And I think it's part of it is to do with as well, you know, every emotion carries with it physical sensations. So for instance, let me give an example. When I'm feeling angry, you can almost predict what my face will look like. You could tell me without me telling you that I'm angry, because my brow will be furrowed, I'll be clenching my fists, I'm clenching my teeth. Afterwards, even after that anger has dissipated, I might feel a lot of physical sensations in my body from my muscles being clenched. So even if the original thing was not the emotional pain, emotional pain can lead to chronic physical pain for people as well. So I know that was a little bit rambly, but I'm just trying to kind of give some examples how emotional and physical pain are very interlinked.
Is I would say it's pretty clear. It's clear there is a complex, because I sense we are stepping into the psychological aspect as well. So we can, I mean, frame it in the psycho-emotional effect of a physical pain. As you said, using your example, a broken leg. If we're talking about a sports professional, of course, the psychology and the emotions are way more involved, because the career might be at risk, the relationship with the team and everything. Or, not talking about sports people, even for a husband, having a broken leg means that you have to rely on someone else for the easiest thing, like getting groceries. So again, the emotional spectrum comes into play. It was very interesting, Tom. Thanks for your vision about this. I love it. So following this, I mean, talking about healing processes, do you think that empowering patients with emotional tools, it might facilitate or speed up the healing process?
That's a really good question. And I know what my answer is. I know my own view. I don't impose this view, but yes, because I think that having an awareness of how we're feeling in the moment, and then also what certain feeling states and emotions lead to in terms of actions and consequences. So for instance, if I'm feeling shame about my situation all the time, like something happens in my life and then I just feel complete shame, it's a very demotivating emotion to experience. And the consequences of that might be that actually I retreat, I disengage from my friends and my support network. But Brene Brown talks about, for instance, the antidote to shame is compassion and self-compassion. So if I can bring some awareness to what I'm feeling in the moment and say, yeah, I realized that that thing that happened to me as a patient has led to me feeling a tremendous amount of shame, but I can bring in this element of compassion and self-compassion. I can start to change that a little bit. And it's not about being judgmental. It's not about saying, hey, what you're feeling is wrong. What I'm feeling right now is wrong. It's just accepting it for what it is and looking for perhaps something that might be more helpful. And the way we talk about compassion is using that voice that you would use for a friend or a loved one when they're going through a difficult time. So yeah, I do think that emotional awareness can help people speed up their journey of recovery, to answer your question. And I'm just perhaps giving a little example of where that might be useful. So a tool, for example, like self-compassion can be a really powerful one. And then once you feel that, you feel more motivated. You feel perhaps, a little bit more, you feel kinder towards yourself. Maybe you start to feel a little bit more joy. Maybe you feel like reaching out to people. Maybe I feel like talking to you and saying, hey, Nick, I'm actually having a really tough time at the moment. I really could use your support. And so in that way, you actually, I think you really do perhaps heal yourself much more effectively.
It's a great point, and I see it very connected with what we just discussed about physical pain and emotional pain. Having tools to heal the both at the same time, it might facilitate the whole process. Tom, I know you are really attuned in the world of emotions. And I would say you as a GP, as a professional, do you think this helps you to be a better professional, like understanding your emotions and understanding the patient's emotions?
Yeah, almost certainly. Because I understand that, well, first of all, I'm much more aware, self-aware, maybe aware of other people's emotional states than I used to be, because I think healthcare, traditional models of healthcare, westernized healthcare, have always focused on being very fact-based, very like protocol driven, seeing the human body and illness in one frame and one paradigm, and actually for a long time ignoring the emotional intelligence aspect, which is sadly a huge detriment. I do think that things are changing, but it has helped me and it has helped my patients, because I can become aware in the moment. Oh, right, I'm feeling angry. Why? Why am I feeling angry? Oh, because I understand a little bit more about anger, that often we feel that emotion in response to something that we perceive to be unfair or unjust. That I think that maybe someone's just done something that's wronged me. And having that awareness of my own emotional state allows me then to come from a place of knowledge, and then my next steps and my next decisions will be, they won't come from this reactive place. They'll come from a place of being able to respond and do it in line with who I want to be, the kind of person that I want to be, rather than ready, load, fire, being in a very reactive state. And the same with my patients. I can look out for how they might be feeling, and sometimes I'll say, I'm just going to go with my gut, and I sense that maybe you're feeling like pretty angry right now. and they might say, yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling really angry. Or they'll tell me and they'll be like, no, I'm not feeling angry at all, I'm just feeling really scared and frightened. But having that, attempting to connect with them on an emotional level has been really transformative for me as a doctor.
It's very interesting, and I really appreciate your approach to work, not seeing robots to heal, but seeing humans to support. Yeah, it's a completely different approach. And you mentioned the Western typology of, I use the same word again, approach. To what degree do you believe it might be beneficial for healthcare institutions to integrate what we are talking about, like emotional intelligence or empowering the doctors to really connect with the human before the patient? So for the healthcare institution to integrate emotional intelligence pieces of training in their current training, do you think it might be beneficial?
Hugely, yeah. I think it would. I think healthcare would be much more aligned with the needs of humanity. I think that rather than having a model of healthcare which is reactive and very disease focused, we would respond to what people need and what they want. And humanity is crying out that what they really want is a system that supports them to be healthy and happy and joyful and experience the best life that they can in the unpredictable amount of time that they have. And that might sound really meta and really philosophical, but I think that if we could take this zoomed out cosmic perspective, I think that's what we'd see. But so I think emotional intelligence could really help, is helping to change healthcare. It's such a massive system. It's hard and it's complex and it's slow. And I do think that it is helping. And I think that every person like yourself, maybe like myself, who has these kinds of conversations with people, that we connect with other people and they connect with other people and they connect with other people. And I think through that, the system can change.
Lovely point, Tom. This was deep. You made me think a famous quote. We see a lot of humans, not a lot of humanity. And this, I mean, the point you just made helps to increase the level of humanity between humans. So it was very deep, and you know I love philosophy, so yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Tom. What suggestion you might have to those individuals or professionals that are still unsure about engaging in emotional intelligence coaching, training? What would you? What's your opinion? If you might have to talk to them, what would you say?
It's a really great question. And I think that I would ask them what their current reality is. And I think we all know what our experience of healthcare is, whether you're someone working in it or if you're someone using it as a patient. And it's very stressful, it's very chaotic, it's very complex, it's very unclear. There's lots of really big painful emotions, and within the healthcare system there's lots of blame and shame, and perhaps I would ask that person about what they're experiencing, and I imagine I would hear some kind of version of that, some story around that. Even, you know, if I said, tell me about your day, tell me about your week, tell me about the past month or the year, or what the pandemic was like for you. And I would ask them about how they'd like it to be, and envisaging the kind of future that they want. And I think through those stories and that comparison, that would be my segue into emotional intelligence. It would be, you know, what we're talking about right now is self-awareness. We're talking about you know, different emotional states. So I think that would be how I would engage an audience of healthcare professionals. And also how it tells us what's most important to us, you know, noticing what emotions are informing us, what information they're communicating to us. So when we feel that pain, when we feel that suffering and that sadness, you know, that's telling us that there's something missing, that there's a loss, that there's a lack of something. And when we feel that joy and that connection and that positivity, that's telling us that that's something that we desire and that we want. And we can use that emotional awareness to help us design a new system. But I know your question was around like training. I think there's tons of things that healthcare professionals could do. I actually really believe in the power of coaching. It's a really different communication model. It's for those people who haven't experienced coaching, or perhaps they don't know exactly what it is. It's a non-hierarchical, future-focused, collaborative conversation between two people, and the coach sees the other person as whole and resilient and capable of coming up with their own solutions, and their role is really to support that person's wisdom. So perhaps that's what I'd say to healthcare professionals thinking about how they can increase their own emotional intelligence. Coaching is a really great segue into that.
Two very great points, Tom. You described the role of a coach, I would say, very well. We, as coaches, we don't teach. We facilitate that inner wisdom that is inside the human already. Tom, I'm very grateful for your points. It's a very nice conversation. We are around 20 minutes, and we said, okay, let's try to keep it around 20 minutes. I would love to have another one. So just give me some time to think about very tough questions for you, because I see you you handle them very well. Is there anything you would like to add before to say goodbye?
Just gratitude, Nick. I really appreciate you inviting me on, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Tom, you know that gratitude and esteem as well, professional and personal, is reciprocal. Tom, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's morning at yours, here is almost evening, and yeah, thanks for your contribution. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Tom. See you soon.
Yeah.